Welcome back, everybody. So these first couple videos are really just breaking down the who, what, when, where, why of me, why I believe what I believe, how I came up, came to my thoughts, my processes, all of my beliefs. So one of the biggest catalysts for me was COVID. Now, I would like to say that my whole adult life, I have voted independent libertarian, except for my first year when I was 18 and I voted for John Kerry. Okay, so no judgment there. But I did actually get to go see Joe Jorgensen and Spike Cohen when they came to, well, Spike didn't come, but I got to go see her when she came to Liberty Lake, and it was fantastic, and I did vote for her. But Gary Johnson, Rand Paul, I have voted for all of them or wrote them in. And so what drew me to the libertarian movement was the freedom of yourself to pursue life, liberty, and happiness, right? Which, as long as you are not affecting somebody else's ability to do the same thing, so any physical crimes against another person's body, property, that kind of stuff, that's where we stand. So ideally it was, getting to smoke weed while you married your gay husband and shot your ARs, right? Like, that's kind of the vibe that I loved. So COVID, when it hit, I remember my ex and I Googled it in January when it first started hitting the news, and instantly it came up with the Wuhan province. Like, I have been trying to find the screenshot of this because you cannot find it now, but if he would back me up, we sat and had a conversation about it, about how it came out of this lab in Wuhan. Like, we knew that in January of 2020, okay? So then fast forward to, March 13th, when they decided to shut things down, right? So we were like, we will do what we need to do, 2 weeks, not a big deal, that's fine. My girlfriend and I would meet for walks, we'd drive separate cars, we would maintain our 6-foot distance, all of the things. And then the longer it went and the more contradictory everything seemed, I started asking questions and pushing back. So, one of the things that I thought was really ridiculous was that places like Walmart could be open with 20 plus employees, hundreds of shoppers, but my girlfriend's store, a little mom and pop gift shop, couldn't be open because germs. Going to restaurants and having to wear a mask into a restaurant, and then sitting at a table with plastic dividers and being okay to take your mask off. And what got me was, like, I'm a mom. I know how germs work. I understand basic science. This didn't make sense to me. And then to have people, projecting the trust the science was ridiculous. As soon as I started questioning and pointing out the disparaging differences in what they were saying, what they were doing, I had friends like Jake Myers come at me, like telling me that I, was risking people's lives and I was dumb and blah, blah, blah. I was a sheep, whatever. Okay. And so it was really hard to have those beliefs and then share them, especially to people that I'd known for 20 years. So, when you couldn't go to a funeral, when you couldn't go to a birthday party, when you couldn't go to the nursing home to say goodbye to people, but nurses were dancing and doing TikToks, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't track for me. And so, of course, I'm like, this does not make sense to me. So I really started looking at a lot of things, and I had already started questioning vaccines for the kids. We had not taken any flu shots, just on my own science and what I knew and what I felt and what I could see. Like, the flu variant changes every year, and they release a new flu vaccine every year, but then it changes every year. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, you're just constantly adding new vaccines to a new strain, and it's the flu. Okay, like, it's the flu. You get sick for a week, you're fine, you move on. So why are we taking flu shots for this? So that was one of the things, too, that didn't make any sense to me. Also, I fought back on the masks. And again, one of the things that made me realize how ridiculous this narrative of trust the science was that I could get away with, and I tried to find one, and I know I have one around here. I could wear a sequin glitter mask that had no solid protection, and that was fine. Okay, like, what? So I did find this one. This is what I wore to work when I started working in 2022, when we still had to wear masks and have plastic shields up and all that. But, like, if this is going to protect me from a dangerous virus. It's a joke, right? Like, it's so ridiculous. I did get cancer April of 2021 and started treatment, and so I had to wear a mask in, and so I have pictures of me wearing the sequin masks, the gaiters, right? The little gaiters, like that counted. I could wear that. Okay, obviously it's not doing anything. And it got really frustrating, especially from people who pushed my body, my choice forever. When that was the anthem of the pro-choice movement, was my body, my choice, and yet we did not have a choice in whether or not we took these vaccines. They were trying to make it mandatory. They wanted vaccine passports. I did not get that, okay? So we're allowing people, obese people, to go to fast food and sit on their butts. But, you know, healthy people that are active are going to get this disease and whatever. And we had no say in whether or not we got to do something or have a job or, you know, go to work or go to church or whatever it was unless we were vaccinated. That was too authoritarian dictatorship to me, when we will allow fat people to buy McDonald's, when we allow drunks to buy alcohol, when we allow druggies to do drugs on the street, but you're going to mandate a vaccine that's not proven, that's brand new for a new disease. That doesn't make any sense to me. That made me feel crazy, okay? And then to stand up and be like, this does not make sense, and to get blackballed by everybody was ridiculous and frustrating. So again, it just really revolutionized me. Like, I couldn't stand by anymore, and I started really getting vocal on social media and all of the things, trying to get more people to see past this government filter of, we know what's best for you. Now, fast forward 6 years, and we're all right. All of us were right. All of us weirdos that wanted to kill everybody and risk all of our families' lives, like, we were right. I have not gotten an apology from Jake Myers yet, or anybody that disowned me, fought back with me. Okay, all I was asking for was my right to treat this illness as my own problem. Like, I wanted to be able to combat it my own way, with my own habits, my own knowledge, my own adult brain that had lived 40 years. Okay, it wasn't 40 years, it was 36 years or whatever it was. And to have other people tell me I didn't know what I was talking about, that I needed to trust the nurses, the dancing nurses, the TikTok teams, like we're supposed to trust those people, that they know what they're doing, when they're literally dancing around while apparently this pandemic is hitting, right? So just the irony of all the things, the narrative that we weren't allowed to challenge it, and I couldn't take it. So I started doing more research. I started following and finding other social media accounts. I started looking for the black sheeps, the ones that were being called crazy, and I started pushing back. And this is kind of a random thing, but one of the things actually that I took away from COVID was being braless. I hated it, and not having to go into anywhere. I stopped wearing a bra, and then I started looking into that, and let me just tell you, that's like a whole nother video about bras and the damage they cause and all of the things. And so free the boobies, people, just free them, let them bounce. Okay, I'm over it. But the psyop that happened with COVID, the dismissiveness of people, of listening to everything else, the fact that people could not take the medicine they wanted, like ivermectin, for this, and they were, again, ostracized, politicized, like it was, you're crazy, you're taking a horse dewormer and all of this. But now we know that it worked. Again, where's the apology? Where's the ownership that you guys shoved this down our throats, that you made us comply, that you literally closed hundreds of thousands of businesses, that you cost small business owners so much money and livelihoods, but you enabled the big box stores, the big capitalist Amazons, and all of that to succeed and thrive. You need to take responsibility for that. You need to take accountability for that, because we didn't. We were over here saying this doesn't make sense. We're going to do what we want. And guess what? I, unvaccinated, never got COVID. I am perfectly fine and healthy. Again, going through cancer treatments while this was all still a huge thing, right? 2021, and I'd have to wear a mask in to go get chemo. But like, what? COVID's gonna kill me while I'm fighting chemo? Like, I'm fighting cancer? Like, really, COVID was the least of my concerns. And so my team got used to not challenging me, putting me in my own room. They did not care. I love the Spokane team at MultiCare's Cancer Center. Like, for real, they allowed it. They didn't push me. They didn't force me. And I would go into, you know, radiation or whatever, and they would have their cup of dirty pens and their cup of clean pens sitting right next to each other, because again, germs don't stay on surfaces for 24 hours. Germs don't travel. Like, you know, it doesn't make sense. So they would have their dirty and their clean. I would literally grab the dirty and like, and I'm not even kidding you, I would go in to my doctor's offices and like lay on the counter and like touch all the surfaces, and I never got sick. Okay? In a hospital with all the sick people going to cancer treatment, chemo, which wears your body down, it lowers your immune system. Not once did I get COVID, not once did I get sick. Okay? So again, you're talking to a mother who has raised 4 kids, and knowing that chickenpox parties used to exist, because we understood, you get it, you get over it, you're fine, right? All of that being dismissed. All of our historical knowledge about keeping yourselves healthy, fresh air, walking, right? Plastic hugs, people standing in bubbles, because that was more sanitary than just washing your hands and covering your mouth. Like, you guys should acknowledge how insane that is. Like for real, where is the ownership that you all promoted this, encouraged it, pushed it? Like, tell me you don't look in the mirror now and be like, oh my God, I'm so ashamed. Because you should be. You should be ashamed of yourselves for following this like you did, like little sheep. Okay? So that was it for me. Once that dam broke and I started leaning into the conspiracy theories and how the government really does not want to keep us healthy, strong, aware, intelligent, questioning, the dam broke. There are so many things now that I see, that I know, that I believe in my heart of hearts. Now, my mind has changed on things. I have shifted a lot. I have gotten different backgrounds on things. I have really been forced to look myself in the mirror and realize where I have failed as a mom, as a member of society. I should have said more. I should have done more. If you're not a person who stood up for anything during COVID, you should be ashamed of yourself. Like, you should be. You should be ashamed that you allowed these bulldozer, profit-based people dictate our entire world. It was the entire world. And again, we could see live time, the ones that did not shut down had the same, if not lower rates of COVID, lower deaths, okay? Those facts exist, and we are finding out right now through this Senate hearing how truly hypocritical, false, and generated all these science facts were, and all of that. So one of the biggest things that I did take away from it, which I had already kind of started implementing in my home, was major news. We do not watch the news in our house. I do not allow it. I would never turn it on. My news sources are not the big box store news sources. I do not care at all what any of the KXLYs, KHQs, Creme 2s say, because when that video dropped of the script that went out about the false narratives and the misinformation being like the most damaging thing to America, and how every station that was owned by, what's his face? Not Maxwell. Oh my gosh, I can't remember his name. When you saw that, if you kept watching the news after that, I would go get your brain checked. Like, if you could see that and be like, oh, but not my news station. If you could see that and not realize that there was a major narrative psyop happening, I don't know what to do with you. I just don't even know. If your local news in North Idaho, Eastern Washington is saying the exact same thing as a Midwest station, as a, back east station, as the West Coast, we are not the same demographics. We are not the same economies. We are not the same environments. But to have everybody saying the same thing, that doesn't make sense. Okay, that would be like, I'm trying to think of who would be a good one. Like a very flat desert area having the same conversation about like drought as, say, like, the West Coast or something. You get me? Like, why would their news be the same when their environments are different, their people are different, their structures are different? Do you get me? Like, it should be different. It should be correlated to the area that it's in. So I started looking for news sources outside of the general news. I obviously never turn on the news. We never listen to anything, and I never trust anything the news says without doing my own investigation. And that doesn't necessarily mean finding people that say the same things as me, because I was not against the COVID restrictions until I started living it and going, this doesn't make sense. Like, what? Why is it being so propped up by the media that you had to maintain a 6-foot distancing at a grocery store or a restaurant, and then you could sit with somebody 2 feet away from you and take your mask off and be fine? Like, this does not make sense. And I started looking for those other sources. And again, not just people that I thought made sense or fit my own narrative, but people that were talking about real facts, real science, real, immune system type things, and calling out the fact that if you had a family member dying in the hospital, you could not go visit them because why? Because you might kill them. So you couldn't go to a nursing home to go see your ailing grandma because you might kill somebody, but like they were already dying. Okay? That led me to other like independent news sources on social media, and it really, and to tie it all in, it led me to like the Freedom Convoy, when the truckers all went and drove up on Canada. That was probably the coolest thing I ever saw. I instantly made a Freedom Convoy sticker for my car and put it on my car, and I really started looking into people that were pushing back on the narrative and what the narrative was meant to do, which is corral us all, make us obedient, make us do what the government says without questioning it. There was no room for questioning. That should have been a red flag for anybody, okay? Just the fact that you could do what you wanted to treat it, that you couldn't treat your people. Like, you're going to tell me that me, and let's say, 40 years old, me and my 40-year-old bestie couldn't decide on our own if we wanted to hug? Like, what? So, again, the hypocrisy of not allowing people to do that, but Seattle having drug users out on the street, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just, once you peeked behind the curtain, you couldn't unsee it, is my point. So then get into conspiracy theories, and I am officially a tinfoil hatter, okay? I do not believe anything our government says. Pretty much if they say it, I'm going to do the opposite. I am that. Okay, so I survived 9/11. We were here for that. I went through that. And I am that person that will stand in line at the airport and go, oh my gosh, that party was the bomb. Because it's so ridiculous. All of these things that they say they're doing in the guise of keeping us safe is not. And any person with 2 brain cells that can actually like function in the real world should be able to see past it, but they can't. And that is what astonishes me the most about this whole COVID thing, was how many people blindly accepted a scenario like the bubble hugs and the masking without their own experience speaking to it. Like, you've never gotten sick before. You've never had to deal with an illness or anything. Like, you don't know what normal people do for that. Like, you cover your mouth, you wash your hands, right? Oh my gosh. That was probably the craziest thing I saw. And I could not imagine letting my kids grow up in a world where they would have to wear a mask all the time, or that they would have to get shots of a new drug, an untested drug, to go out in society. Like, I was gonna pump my babies, my 5-year-olds, 4-year-olds, full of drugs so they could go to preschool. I did make them wear masks so they could go to preschool, and that sucked. And we went to a private preschool, which, again, if you're private and you're not government, like, you should be allowed to dictate your own self, right? The fact that federal funds were threatened from schools that didn't want to accommodate this, all of that should have, again, told people this was not about safety, it was about compliance and just following along. Then you get into all the other things, like, okay, the measles. Does anybody know when the last measles case was versus when the vaccine came out? I didn't. I started looking into it, and it's very weird that once a virus has started to die out, these vaccines come out and everybody calls them the winner. It wasn't the fact that we learned how to treat those things naturally, that, you know, with basic, again, hygiene, fresh air, exercise, diet, that, one, you're not as likely to get sick, and two, if you do get sick, you're not as likely to die from it. How many young people do we know, under 40, let's say under 50, that are dying from heart attacks, embolisms, all these random things that 30, 40-year-olds weren't dying of 10 years ago? Okay, the birth rate, miscarriages, you're going to tell me it was all worth it to fight COVID? All of these repercussions that we're seeing now, all these consequences we're seeing now, how does that make sense to anybody? It doesn't, okay? So COVID was the straw that broke the camel's back. I could not abide it anymore, and that is a huge reason why I am the way I am now, and why I refuse to stay silent about things like Israel. Okay, why I refuse to stay silent about things like data centers. Why I refuse to stay silent about, you know, all sorts of things now. Because if we do stay silent, if those of us that do not believe, those of us that can see the disparaging, you know, disciplines that are in this, then it will continue to snowball. Like, even with all of us fighting back about COVID, it still took, I think it was March of 2022. I have the email. When Inslee announced that Washington didn't have to wear masks anymore. When I started working at the Hub Sports Center in 2022, we had the plastic dividers up. I still had to wear a mask when I talked to people. I remember getting that email that said, hey, guess what? You don't have to wear these anymore. Like, people were trying to play pickleball with masks on because that was allowed, but how does that make sense? Like, obviously breathing in your own breath while you're exercising is not healthy for anybody. Okay? If we stay silent, the government will snowball us. It will go from 2 weeks to 2 years. Again, if you were a person that were like, it's 2 weeks, save lives, and you allowed it to go longer than that, and you thought that was acceptable, how do you rectify that to yourself now? How do you own that to yourself? How do you do that to your children? How do you be like, oh yeah, I believe the 2 week thing, it should have been fine, but then it was like 2 years and we were cool with that? Like, that makes no sense. It's insanity to be like, oh, well, they told us it was only 2 weeks, and now it's going to be 2 months, and now it's 2 years, people. 2 years from when they shut us down to when they finally said, oh, it's okay, you don't have to wear masks. Okay, the people that took the vaccine have had so many issues that I know of. Okay, they are not healthier. They are not less sick. They are not any better off than someone like me who refused to get the vaccine. Now, on a personal note, I am going to argue that someone like me who has gone through cancer, someone that has given birth to 4 children, someone that worked at a place where I was with strangers and kids all the time, had at one point 4 kids in 3 separate schools, and I never get sick. I would be the person to listen to over the person that's overweight, smokes, eats fast food, sits in their house all day. You get me? But no one wanted to take what I had to say because I'm a stay-at-home mom. Because I'm a girl who doesn't have a college degree, and because I'm not a nurse or whatever, I can't understand basic health. Okay? I very, very rarely ever get sick. My diet is shit. I love fast food, salt, sugar, grease, and chocolate. That's what I say are my 4 food groups, okay? So if someone like me can get by without getting COVID and having literal chemo and radiation destroying my body, I feel like you might want to take my advice. I feel like you might want to know what I do. I feel like I might have some insight into what works and what doesn't. So, side note also, I love Zip Fizz. I drink a Zip Fizz every day. Also while I'm drinking my coffee, okay? And then I'm gonna go eat my top ramen. Last time I was sick, I couldn't even tell you. But what do I know? What do I know? And so that is part of why I started this, is because I'm tired of being put in this box that I don't know anything and I should trust the science and trust the professionals and the government is out to save us. No more. No more. We are going to fight back, and one of the ways that you can fight back is by speaking out. Speaking out against all of the crap that you see, all of the hypocrisy, all of the nonsense that you see out there. I did not agree with Charlie Kirk on everything he said, although I will say now I'm getting further into his camp. But I didn't start watching him because I agreed with everything he said. I actually started watching him because I loved his delivery and his interaction with people. And again, whatever people want to say about him, but if you actually sat and listened to his videos, whether you agree with him or not, you have to appreciate his approach. He was non-confrontational, except for that one guy that actually was racist and wanted an all-white country. Like, that was one of my favorite clips. Like, people that want to call him racist, to watch him go off on that guy, like, I can't even think about it without getting emotional because I just loved him so much. But we need more people like that are willing to have conversations, not confrontations, okay? People that are willing to sit and think about things. Like I said, fish faces are my favorite. Bring something to this conversation that makes me go, I got nothing to say to that. If you can trigger my brain into, like, stalling, buffering, that is my favorite, because I very rarely meet people who are willing to discuss their ideas and their beliefs in a calm, rational manner with the idea of sharing information to potentially not just change somebody's mind, but to broaden their perspective. Like, I might not change anybody's mind here with my videos, okay? And that's fine. But what I hope to do is encourage people to challenge things, speak up, right? Fight for your own right to govern your own body, your own family, your own city, right? Like, my city, Spokane, Liberty Lake, is not the same as Seattle. What works for Seattle does not work over here. So we should be able to have city rights, state rights, and then it should go federal. I firmly believe that, which is also, I believe, a libertarian belief. But there is no way that I think someone in Seattle should dictate how I live. They don't know our economy over here. They don't know what our dynamics are with our schools, with our resources. I do not believe that. And so really stand up for that individual right, that God-given right to protect yourself, protect your family, and the people that care about you. And COVID really showed that the government does not want us to have that right. They don't want us to have the right to question, to treat ourselves. Again, if you have a child that's sick and you are not taking care of them, that's one thing, right? I do not think the government should have the right to make a family keep their kid in the hospital if they don't want to. I do not believe that families should be forced to get vaccines before going to school. Because again, if your kid's vaccinated, why do you care if mine aren't? And mine are, right? Mine have most of their vaccines from birth to whatever, and I regret that. Okay, I do. I wish that I would have known what I know now back then so that I could have better protected them. That is a regret I'm going to carry forever, but guaranteed, COVID forward, I will question everything. And just a side note to that, HPV. I am a carrier of HPV. I found out I had it when I gave birth to my oldest, who is 18, and I had a tumor, and I had to have my uterus biopsied, and there is like a ridiculous number of HPV variants. There's like 60 plus. Only like 16 actually cause cancer. Okay, so now here, let's break this down. And I'm saying like because that's my literary license word, where I know it's like around that somewhere. Don't fact check me. I mean, do fact check me. I'm going to fact check myself. But it could be 60 to 80 strains of HPV. I can't remember. But I do know that the actual ones that cause cancer are like 16. So what, like 1% of HPV strains cause cancer? And if you look at the HPV vaccine, it only combats like 3. So again, you're giving your kid a trial drug, which at the time, I was a teenager when it came out. I think I had just aged out. I think it's like 14 to 22 or something is like the age range when you get it. I had just aged out of it, I think, when it started happening and realizing that I had one that caused cancer. Like, I have one that causes cancer. I have to go get my pap smear, and it never says normal. It never says normal and abnormal anymore. You know what it says? No signs of precancerous changes. Ever. Every time. I still advocated for my daughters to not get that vaccine because of my own knowledge and my own experience with it. I knew that even if they contracted HPV, the chances of it being one of the ones that causes cancer would be less than any damage that vaccine would cause. Oh my gosh, my sign just fell over and scared me half to death. So if I would have allowed them to take that, fast forward, 6-10 years, what are we seeing now with the HPV vaccine? Girls are having trouble having babies. There's birth defects. There's all this damage to these girls that took this vaccine, to where now I'm like, thank God. Thank God I knew enough to challenge it. Thank God I knew enough, because again, what are the side effects if you don't take it? You could potentially get HPV. You could potentially get HPV. So you guaranteed take this vaccine, you could get side effects, or you could possibly never get it on its own, right? I, again, have one of the cancer-causing ones, and that isn't even what caused my cancer. So I still would not have been protected if I would have taken that vaccine. Okay? So thinking about those things, and it's like, okay, so vaccine injury is real. We know that. There are horrible side effects to every vaccine. What are the side effects of chickenpox? Scarring? Like, you might get some scars. Well, guess what? Acne does the same thing. Acne causes scarring. That's not a horrible side effect. That is a image, a beauty side effect, but it doesn't hurt me any. It doesn't cause me to have issues with giving birth to my babies. It doesn't cause like my heart rate to go up. It's not giving me cardiomyopathy, any of that. But those are side effects to the vaccine. So you're willing to risk that. On the small chance that your daughter might get HPV, you're willing to risk all these other side effects. That makes no sense to me, okay? And then when you look at all of the other things, like with the flu vaccine, again, a new vaccine every year. So if a new vaccine comes out every year, Where's the trial? Where's the proof? I mean, do you see what I'm saying here? How can you prove to me that a vaccine is good when it has had less than a year from its, conception to its distribution? I wouldn't trust anything like that quickly. And that changes consistently every year. You are literally just pumping your body full of drugs every year. If you get the flu vaccine every year, I would highly encourage you to stop. To stop and treat sickness like flu, like COVID, as any other sickness. Rest, diet, fresh air, right? Because the lifelong issues that you could have from these things are so much worse. And we don't even know yet. We don't even know yet what half of that is. Like, again, these vaccines have only been out in the world for 6 years, right? When they pushed the COVID, so 2020, 6 years. You're going to tell me that you know enough, that you trust enough about the science, that in less than 6 years, you're going to put a drug in your body for the rest of your life? I wouldn't. Are you going to be one of the first ones? Okay, a random kind of analogy here, but let's look at the submersible that went under, that imploded as soon as it got down. Why would you be the first person in that? Why would you not wait to see multiple tests, multiple successes? Why would you risk your life with that? 99% of the population right now is going to say, I wouldn't. That was stupid. Obviously, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's untrusted technology. It's unproven. But you'll put drugs in your body that a company makes a shit ton of money for, that cannot be held responsible for any injuries they cause, and they are in cohorts with the government. How does that make sense? How does that work? That's literally, I feel like, the definition of, insanity. I just don't get it. And the fact that, again, you could argue that, without COVID, we would have all these deaths and whatever. Why aren't vaccines free? Why do you have to get them covered by insurance? You can't get period products through your insurance for free, even though that is something that has existed for all of mankind. Every woman, every month, gets their period without our say. We have no control over that, right? We can take birth control to stop it, which is, again, a horrible idea. Or we have to buy all these products to accommodate something that our bodies do without control. Like, those aren't free. But a trial drug, you know what I'm saying? You can get a burger and fries with yours. If you go get your vaccine, you can get a burger and fries and your insurance will cover it. Bullshit. That is bullshit. Okay? So, again, that's like a whole nother rabbit hole that I'm going to get into with period products, because, the fact that Viagra is covered by insurance, but pads and tampons aren't. The fact that no studies had actually been done with period blood and women for period products until the last 5 years. Insane. But yes, let's trust the science. Let's trust the government. Let's trust these companies that are making billions of dollars and are not responsible for anything. They're not responsible for side effects. They can't be sued. They can't be held accountable. Nobody is stopping them. Pfizer still exists. Moderna still exists. Nobody's taken them down. Nobody has disbanded them. Nobody has stopped that wheel from turning. They are still pumping out drugs and chemicals into our bodies and causing all of this damage, and we're still letting it go. But I have to buy period products for 3 girls every month while I'm on state aid, unemployed, whatever, when I was a stay-at-home mom. Do you get me? Just the contradictory the contradiction of it all should be enough to make you go, maybe there's something not right there. Okay? I just want people to see behind the curtain, to question things. Don't put stuff in your bodies, okay? For real. Like, we can't. We need to be holding these companies, all of those, what do I want to say? All of those establishments that pushed COVID should be sued right now. They should be closed. Not these small business owners, all of these people that lost that, they should be down. They should be done, destroyed. We should not be talking about them anymore, except as a cautionary tale for the public going forward. It makes no sense, and I refuse to let it happen again. Not on my watch. I'm going to educate my children. I am doing my best now to really make sure that we have good food, right? Like, I don't want to buy any GMO stuff, no fake meat, no lab-grown anything, right? Because, again, it's the same corporations, it's the same groups, the same elite billionaires that are pushing these things on us. Bill Gates wants depopulation. That is part of his plan, right? Like, if those people are saying they want less people on the planet, why would you want anything that they are a part of? Maybe don't. That's what I've got, okay? So COVID was my big kind of push over, the straw that broke the camel's back. I will refuse to be silent. And I will be the weirdo, hippie, granola, crunchy mom whose kids are unvaxxed and whatever. I will be that going forward, and I will advocate for my grandchildren to not get vaccinated. Hopefully, I get to have grandbabies, and I didn't already poison my children. Hopefully, I didn't already fuck them up by following the narrative and the psyop of the government that is literally looking for slaves and less population. Hopefully, I didn't do that to them. But if you pushed the COVID vaccine, if you pushed the flu vaccine, you better be prepared for the consequences. The damage you are causing to generations of people. And you should be ashamed of yourselves. And I'm looking forward to my apology from everybody that said I was crazy, that I was a conspiracy theorist, all of that. I should be getting cards in the mail saying you were right. And that's what this channel's for now. Proof and being right. That is my favorite thing. And I'm tired of people discounting my ability to think through things because I am not college educated and I've worked sales, retail, or whatever my whole life. Okay? I'm sorry I don't have 3 degrees. I'm sorry I didn't go to college. Sorry I'm not a nurse. Okay? Which, again, by the way, anybody see that anesthesiologist who killed the little girl at the dentist's office because she gave her the wrong drug and then gave her the wrong drug to bring her back? But yeah, trust the science, trust the nurses. Fucking never. Never. Never again will I ever do that. So, if you're going to stick around to this channel, be ready for more of this. I hope you all have an amazing day. Bye.